is in the school, and we can try and use force and things like that, but it will destabilize the country, and in the end everyone will lose. There are certain things that we can do, which we should do, but there are things that we know we cannot do. It is far better to accept things as they are and hope that over the years the people will come together and they will recognize the need for them to use only a single language. With regard to the role of religion, well, I would like to remind every one of us who's a Muslim that there is no force in Islam. It is forbidden for us to force people to accept the religion. If they care to accept the religion, that is their own choice, but we cannot force people to become Muslims. As to the unity achieved by the religion of Islam, we would like to say that Islam promotes unity among the Muslims. Muslims are all brothers. But if you look at the Muslim world today, you will realize that they are far from being brothers. In Iraq, in Pakistan, in many other countries, the Shia and the Sunnis are at each other's throat, and they will bomb mosques with people praying there because they don't like the interpretation of Islam that each sect believes in. So there is no unity that you can find in the Muslim world today. Fortunately for us in Malaysia, we have accepted the Imam Shafi'i for our Imam, and we are all Sunnis. So the division in Malaysia is not deep. Of course, we have PAS and UMNO, but that is not a real religious division. We belong to the same sect, and therefore there is much more unity in Malaysia among Muslims than there is in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Lebanon, and in other countries, where the Sunnis and the Shias and the Alawites and all the other different sects are at each other's throat all the time. I must admit that at the time of the Prophet, there was unity among Muslims. The Prophet brought only one religion of Islam. But today we have 1,000 religions of Islam. We have even Ayah Pain, Ash'ari. And we may find it funny that this man, Ayah Pain, should bring his own brand of religion from the sky. But there are people who are willing to be declared apostates, non-Muslim, because they believe in Ayah Pain. So we are divided. And we are divided because we allow such interpretations to spread among ourselves. I would like to say that religion can unite, but we cannot use force in order to convert people to Islam, in order to unite them. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, Tun.
Waalaikumsalam.
I have about more or less 3 questions. I'll try to keep it short. The first question I have relates to the comments made by the previous student who asked you about the vernacular schools. Now, I went to a Catholic missionary school where I was a minority. And as a result of that, we were able to assimilate. Now, what I find is that the problem why we cannot have a national identity is because we don't understand each other. When we don't understand each other, we cannot connect with each other. We cannot identify ourselves as one. Now, one of the reasons why we don't understand each other is because we don't integrate, we don't assimilate, we don't associate. If we go to a Malay-only school, When do we ever get to interact with our Chinese and Indian and others friends? So, the continued existence of vernacular schools is actually an impediment. It's a barrier to the establishment of a national identity or multiple national identities. So I know that I cannot be satisfied with your answer. I am sorry. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is if we keep saying this again and again and again and again, maybe one day we can change things. This idea of one national school. And who says a national school has to teach only in Malay? We've got Malay English now. Why don't we introduce Tamil and Mandarin? I am very dissatisfied because I was not able to learn Mandarin because the Mandarin classes were called POL, Pupils' Own Language. I am not Chinese, therefore not eligible to attend a POL class. That, to me, has been a barrier. If I could learn Mandarin, I think I could do more things. So I will put forth to you this suggestion. Abolish vernacular schools, introduce schools which allow students to learn all the different languages, and then we can communicate with each other much better, and then we can understand each other much better. And then, hopefully, maybe 30, 40, 50 years from now, hopefully I'll be old enough to see that, and we can become one. You're supposed to clap for the answer, not the question. Okay, my second question is, I had the pleasure of meeting the late Tan Sri Zain Azrai in 1995. And I asked him this question because having been in an environment where it's not all Malay, so I try to understand what is social equality and social justice. And what he told me is social equality is not social justice. Social justice, because this arising from the question of the NEP. So social justice is giving assistance to the people who need it, giving scholarships to the people who cannot afford to go to universities or schools. Because having access to education is the right of every Malaysian citizen. So I would like to hear your comments on this, because you mentioned the NEP. So is social equality not the ideal, the ideology behind communism? Because some people are promoting social equality, whereas we should look at social justice. The third question I have is, actually right now, I think the MPP candidates have just finished their manifesto nights. Next week is student elections. My students tell me that next week is the elections. So right smack in the middle of student politics, I would like you, perhaps, if you could share with the students and us, what is a leader? Not the textbook definition, but what does it take to be a leader? I do not want these students to think that becoming a student representative council member means that, oh, I got the power, it looks good in my resume, I've got my own parking lot, we have our office, and then I have a tie and I get to, be posted up in a poster in every building. They need to understand, what does it mean to be a leader? A leader needs to direct, has to have direction, be able to guide. And in this kind of environment where they are guiding international community, they need to understand, and this is the thing, they need to understand each other, the integration, assimilation. So perhaps you could share with us. Thank you very much. Sorry to take too much time.